Devlin, Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
iOS, it's only sport. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. This is the highlights podcast of our show, which we air on the platform 1 till 4. It is every afternoon live. You've got to download the app. You subscribe to Platform Plus, well, then you can go back, listen to the whole show and all of the 9 hours programming anytime that you wish. Listening pleasure at your leisure. Today, an elongated interview with Joseph Parker. He fights Deontay Wilder December the 23rd. He fought in October, knocked out Simon Keane. This is a massive fight for JP, probably the biggest since he fought Anthony Joshua. Usman Khawaja wants to make a pro-Palestinian political statement on his footwear in the first test against Pakistan in Perth starting tomorrow. Should he be allowed to? Will he be allowed to? We're going to play your favourite game, Lachlan, which is called What is More Chance of Happening? We will do the Tide 5 and the BTE, the Brendan Telfer Experience. We've got a busy podcast, but most of it dominated by a good big preview of Joseph Parker's massive fight coming up in Saudi Arabia. Tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. What the hell's going on with West Tigers? Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
West Tigers have swept the broom through the club. The entire board sacked and the CEO resigned overnight. This is massive news in Australian sport, for the sport of rugby league as a whole, for the NRL, and obviously most importantly, for the club West Tigers itself. Why? Well, it's just such a dramatic thing to do. It's something that implies serious mismanagement and or utter incompetence and a total lack of confidence in those who were charged with running the place for the last 10 years. West Tigers are a club in crisis. They haven't made the finals in 11 years. And that's in a 16-team comp, 17 this year, where 8 teams, half the teams, get to go to the playoffs. This is the longest drought out of all the NRL clubs. Back-to-back wooden spoons the last 2 years. So they've been rubbish for a very long time, and something had to give. Now, normally the first thing you do in these situations is sack the coach. But they've only just appointed Benji Marshall full-time in the role, so they can't pull that card again anytime too soon. And I say again because in the last 10 years, in fact, they've had 8 separate coaching changes already. Tim Sheen's 2012, Michael Potter 2013-14, Jason Taylor 2015-16. He started 2017, then he was sacked and Ivan Cleary stepped in. Cleary left in 2018. Madge Maguire took charge 2019-2021. He was sacked in 2022. Keep up here. Tim Sheens came back. Benji Marshall, his assistant. And then Benji took over the top job for the last few games this year. He'll be full-time in the role next season. Again, something had to give. And in the end, the axe was swung over those who make the decisions, i.e. those in charge, those ultimately responsible. Will it work? I don't know. Who knows? But what we do know is that what these people have been doing hasn't. Contrast all this with New Zealand rugby, who themselves had their own big tell-all, all-encompassing, everything on the table, warts and all review before the World Cup. This wasn't the only review that they've done. In actual fact, I think I could count 3 or 4 of these over the last few years. This latest one, though, saying that the current governance situation, if you remember, and I quote, is not fit for purpose. So what does that mean? Apart from, again, just like West Tigers, it hasn't worked and it's not working. And it needs to fundamentally, totally and absolutely reinvent itself. And what subsequently happened? Well, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Is what West Tigers have done the answer? Again, I don't know. But what we do know is that as far as New Zealand rugby is concerned, nothing is going to change unless you actually do something to effect or make change. Which is the problem with New Zealand rugby, because review after review after review, and what? The same people are still in charge. A whole lot of hottie, a whole lot of words, a whole lot of cliches, a whole lot of phrases, a whole lot of paper printed, and ultimately, the same people making all the decisions. The more things change, the more they stay exactly the same.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The Platform.
Lachlan, sports news headlines.
Yes. Now, Martin.
Yes.
You are a man who has, for many, many years now, suffered at the hands of two of your favourites, well, probably your two most favourite sports teams, I would think it's fair to say,
probably be fair
Manchester
to say.
United and the formerly known Washington Redskins, now the Washington Commanders, and for 2 years, the Washington Football Team, a name that they probably should have kept. Now, we don't need to get into the Commanders and the exploits this season and Riverboat Ron. However, it is very amusing for me as a Liverpool fan and someone who was sick and tired of Manchester United and their success for the first half of my life, that you guys are rubbish.
We are.
You're rubbish in the Premier League.
Yes.
I don't know what you're doing in the Cups. And you were looking pretty rubbish in the Champions League.
Well, we're out of the League Cup. We haven't played the FA Cup yet.
Are you out of the League Cup?
We got dicked at home by Newcastle 3-0.
That's right, yeah.
Who doesn't come to Old Trafford and give us one these days?
But you had a chance this morning to get out of the group in the Champions League,
slim.
or at worst, go to the Europa League with a third place finish.
Do you know what? I'm actually happy that we lost and finished last in the group because I don't want to be embarrassed in the Europa League. What happens if you get knocked out of the Europa League? Do you go to the A-League? Because that's where we're going to end up, aren't we? So finishing fourth, I think that's it. Look, you get what you deserve and the results don't lie, and we lost again at home. Okay? We're out of the
Bayern Munich are a good side. They're a good side.
No, Bayern Munich are a good side, but the other two, Copenhagen and Galatasaray, are average.
Yeah.
But their average is better than our below average.
So Manchester United finished last in their group in the Champions League, lost 1-0 to Bayern Munich this morning at Old Trafford. Pretty much didn't even fire a shot, did you guys? Copenhagen.
I hate them! Sorry. Sorry, was the mic on then, was it?
Copenhagen, you better hope the people next door at the warehouses didn't see you, because you would have yelled that looking at them and they'll think, heck, what did we do?
I just gave both buttocks out there. I pulled pants down and gave both buttocks, and I'm hoping that nobody out there saw that, because that would be HRable.
Well, they'd be dead, whoever saw that.
Or blinded by the light.
Copenhagen beating Galatasaray this morning. They go through along with Bayern Munich out of Group A in the Champions League. Man United finished last. If they'd finished third, they would have dropped to the Europa League, sort of a qualifying phase to get into the Europa League knockout phase. You couldn't even manage that. That's good. Arsenal drew with PSV. They'd already topped their group, though, I'm pretty sure, because you look at the points table, they won by 4 points in the end. PSV going through as well. Napoli winning this morning. Real Madrid winning as well. They both advance in their group. Group C, that is. A couple of games on tomorrow. The one to keep note of, the group at least, is Group F. Dortmund, PSG, Newcastle, Milan. So Dortmund are at home to PSG. They're already through to the next round. But Newcastle, if they can beat Milan and hope that other results go their way, they should get through as well. Alrighty. Yesterday, now this happened yesterday, but the match finished once we'd finished our show, so I feel inclined to bring it up because it was a great win. The White Ferns beating Pakistan 365 for 4. They put up in their innings. Pakistan only managing 234 in theirs in reply. The women winning by 151 runs. Susie Bates with 108 off 104 balls. Two other batswomen managing 80. And with the ball, Amelia Kerr 3 for 44. She actually hit 83 off the bat as well. She wasn't named player of the match though. I don't know who was, but I know that Amelia Kerr wasn't. There's a bit of uproar about that on Twitter I saw this morning. Okay, the Mirpur pitch, also known as Shri Bangala Stadium in Dhaka, where the Black Caps of Bangladesh played in that second test, has received one demerit point after the ICC rated it as unsatisfactory. So what Tim Southey said about the pitch being one of the worst he's ever seen in his entire cricketing career was correct, apparently. Australian cricket news. Usman Khawaja is planning to wear shoes during the Perth test against Pakistan starting tomorrow that are emblazoned with slogans supporting Palestinians caught in the fighting in Gaza. Now, there are stories that have come out about this. This is a very risky move. How or what happens out of this between now and the start of that test will be very, very, very interesting, if anything happens. After more than a decade in professional rugby, former Chiefs lock and the tallest All Black in history, Dominic Bird, has decided to call time on his career. They've called it an illustrious career in this article. He played for the All Blacks, played for the Crusaders as well, I'm pretty sure. Played for, obviously, the Chiefs. I don't know if I'd say it was illustrious, but good career for Dominic Bird. The New Zealand round of Sail GP will return to Christchurch in March. Great news. Littleton and Auckland were scheduled to alternate hosting the event, but last month Auckland, of course, announcing they couldn't host it on the Waitemata Harbour as they were unable to lock in Wynyard Point as a vantage point for spectators. So Littleton getting the event in March. Great news. Bill Foley is one step closer to acquiring an ownership stake in another football club. Obviously, this follows his acquisition of the Auckland A-League licence. That club's set to join the competition ahead of next A-League season. Hibernian FC and the Scottish Premiership are hopeful that the Scottish FA will greenlight Foley's investment with written consent for the American billionaire to purchase a minority stake in the club. Sticking with football, Auckland City's FIFA Club World Cup campaign has come to a sudden end after losing their first round game against Al Ittihad. 3-0 they lost in the end. Not really you wouldn't be demoralised losing that because there's some big names in that Al Ittihad side, as Martin brought up before. Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, Fabinho. So they're not... another guy, I can't remember his first name. Last name's Jota. He used to play for Celtic. I think he's Portuguese. He's very good as well. Can't remember his first name though. Excuse me.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.
Our major interview today, Joseph Parker, one of New Zealand's greatest heavyweight boxers. When he retires, there's going to be an excellent debate going on about where he sits. Is David Tua still the number one man? Oh, I think so. The thing I loved about David Tua was his knockout punch, and Joseph has really struggled with that. Now he fights a guy, Deontay Wilder, December 23rd in Saudi Arabia, who does possess a knockout punch. In actual fact, I think of all of his fights, apart from the ones against Tyson Fury, and remember, he did put Fury down in each of those fights, he's knocked out his opponents. JP joining us for a good long chat about his prospects, not only against Wilder, but going on from there at 31. How long has he still got in this game? How is he preparing for this fight? Who is training him? How do you find sparring partners that match the size, shape, reach, height, all of that stuff of Deontay Wilder? Warm welcome back onto the program, Joseph Parker. Man, you sound happy. Why so happy?
You know what? I'm just happy that the camp is great. I got Andy Lee looking over the boxing side of things. I got George Lockhart looking after the strength, conditioning, recovery, and the nutrition. And we had 2.5 weeks in Ireland. Great start to camp. Now we're in England for a week, and we've got 2 weeks in Saudi. So we're very close to fight day. But everything has gone smooth, and everything is on track. And I think this is the best camp so far.
How long have you in the past prepared for your major fights, like, say, the Joshua fight?
I prepared probably for that fight 10 to 12 weeks. But the difference is that fight I came in very heavy and out of shape, and I used camp as a way of getting in shape and eating good and training hard and losing weight instead of building on the fundamentals and skills and technique. Whereas now I come into camp always in shape, in great shape.
What specifically are you working on then for this fight?
We're working on, you know what? Believe it or not, working on more speed. We're working on more movement. We're working on being, just being alert and being there, present every second of every minute of every round. And we're practicing that in sparring. We're practicing that in training on the pads that we're doing with Andy Lee on the bag. Even in the weights gym, we're practicing just being present and just enjoying the moment, enjoying the process, but always being alert every time I'm in the ring with sparring partners.
This guy is an awesome puncher. You know that. Everyone knows that. So, again, just in terms of the specifics, without giving too much away, how do you train for a guy that can knock you out with one punch?
Listen, he has to be on point for 1 second. Have to be on point for every second, every minute, every round. So you have to be, it's just about practicing being, like I said, being alert and also working on what we have to do. You know, if I go into the fight, when I go into the fight and execute the plan, everything is going to flow very nicely. But if I go in there and worried about his right hand and worried about what he's going to do, then all my attention is on him and his game plan. So I need to go in there and execute the game plan and be dominant and be present and give it everything.
In terms of the speed and the footwork, there has been a number of fights in the past where, and you'll know this, where I'm not saying you've let yourself down, but you would have been disappointed at the end of those fights that you didn't move quick enough, or that you probably left too much in there. How do you kind of absorb all of that in your own headspace and then use that positively to build towards a fight like this?
Listen, there's a lot of things in the past where I wish I could have changed. I could have done this differently. I could have done this better. But as we speak now, the camp that we have now with the people involved is, I think, is what I needed. It's definitely what I needed over the years, but it's taken me 10, 11 years to get to this point where now I feel like the people involved and what I'm doing now is perfect. There's no overtraining. There's no undertraining. There's not doing too much and leaving it all in the gym, on the road, doing the weights. Everything is on track, and there's a reason why we do everything each day, the training that we're doing each day.
Joseph, do you find that you get over intense at times like this, or how do you kind of relax yourself and get your mind away from it? Because you basically can be suffocated by a camp, can't you?
Listen, when it's time to work in the gym, it's time to work. When it's time to relax, I'm talking to my family. I'm watching Netflix. I'm eating the foods that I need to be eating. And I'm just outside of camp. There's always time to relax. And it's about, finding what works for you, playing an instrument, reading a book, chilling out, just a lot of Netflix and a lot of chill.
You talk to your kids every night too. So, I mean, there must be, it's such a big deal being away from them, this far away from them. So, I mean, how does that go every night? Because that's morning for them.
Oh, listen, it's morning for them, it's night for me. And when it's morning for me, it's night for them. So I talk to them every morning and every night, just to give an update of how my day was and get an update of how their day was. And I think it's very important that the older the kids get, the harder it is for me to be away. There's an understanding now that I have to go away for work, but I got a very strong bond with my 4 girls and my wife that's very hard to leave. And also she's pregnant at the moment.
Wow. So, congratulations.
Listen, my wife is the best. She's a rock, and with her strength, staying home with 4 girls and doing it all her own, I a lot of credit to her.
It's almost like she's got a tougher job, do you think?
Bro, her job is way tougher than mine. I tell you this, I'm not saying fighting is easy and being in training camp is easy. It's not easy, but it's like a training holiday.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I'm training to be in the best shape. I'm training to fight someone. I can rest when I want. I can eat. I have to eat the proper foods, but I can train, eat, relax, rest, chill. And she always has to be on point with the kids, because you don't want to make sure that they're fine and they're fed and they're not in danger. And so it's a harder job being a parent, and respect to all the parents out there. It's a tough job, but it's the most rewarding job. It's the best job. Joseph
Parker is fighting December the 23rd in Riyadh. He's fighting Devontae Wilder. It's a hell of a fight. Did you ever think that you were going to get this fight? I mean, how long does it take to actually put this in place?
This fight, because the people that are involved behind the scenes, Saudi Arabia and His Excellency Turki al-Sheikh, when they came on board, this fight was made in 2 days. I think a day or 2 days. These types of fights and events take weeks or months to lock in and make with everyone involved. But this took like a week max, I think.
Is it scary at all? Is there any fear at all when you go into a fight like this?
I think if you have fear, you're in the wrong business and you're in the wrong game.
Right.
Going into a fight like this, obviously, the guy that I'm fighting has got a reputation of being a knockout artist. But when we go into fights as fighters, we know what we can do. We back ourselves 100%, and we go in to win. So there is no fear. The only thing that's going into fights is a little nervous, like, oh, how is this going to go? Am I going to catch him with this? Is he going to catch me with that? But at the end of the day, there's no fear at all.
Do you do much visualization? Like, do you just sort of imagine and dream like you can see him on the canvas, anything like that?
100%. I think I've been taught that the mind is very, very strong, and the mind works well with images. And my psychologist in the past, Kerry Evans, and also the people I'm working with now, Dave Wood, and a few others, that it's very important to imagine things and have images in your head of the fight going good, the fight not going so well, and what you're going to do in different situations. And it's all about preparing the mind for what's to come.
In terms of what Tyson Fury does for you, it gives you advice, being present, all of that kind of stuff. Talk us through that. Yeah, Tyson has been very good to me and generous, and giving his gym and his house one of the camps, and also just giving us time. And he truly is like a brother, and he's made time for me to come here to England, and he's going to be there in the gym on Thursday and Friday to give advice, to help with sparring, and just having him around, being the only guy that's been in the ring with Wilder 3 times, beating him twice. He has a lot of knowledge and a lot of just things that I might not see, or Andy might not see, that he can share with us. The great thing about Tyson Fury is, as well as being such an amazing champion, is just the awkwardness and the uniqueness of his style as well. Does he imprint that on you, and does he say things to you like, Joseph, you've got to bring something that might be a little different and actually surprise him?
Yeah, listen, when we do trainings together and when we do sparring together, he always gives advice where he can and when he can. Ultimately, Andy's looking after me, but listen, with his style, it's going to be different for me fighting Wilder. I'm not 6'9" with the longest reach, so I have to take everything that my strengths into play and use it according to what I can do. So, but he has a lot of advice on what I can do with Wilder on the inside, how Wilder fights, how hard he punches, and all of that, which is very good.
That reach advantage, Joshua had that reach advantage as well. It's awkward to face, isn't it? Do you have to kind of prepare yourself to think, okay, I'm going to have to get hit to get inside here?
Not so much get hit, but with the Joshua fight, I was fighting more a defensive fight. Whereas I think with taller fighters, it's good to be defensive, but you can use your offense as defense. So it's just about coming up with a game plan and practicing it on the sparring partners that you have in camp who are the same height, hopefully with the same reach. And if you can implement your plan on them, you can definitely do it in the fight.
Joseph, how hard is it to find guys like that to get in the ring and spar with, given the fact that, I mean, as you say, it's got to be a certain height, it's got to be, a certain size. I mean, are there enough of those guys around for you to spar with?
There are some guys, it's not the easiest task to look for them, but that's where your team, that's what they control. Guys like Andy Lee, he'll reach out and look out for guys who he thinks will be the best for me to spar. Tyson Fury will also do the same and give us suggestions on who he thinks will be great to spar. And then we see if they're available, we see if they're not injured. And if they are available and injury-free, fly them in, accommodate them, pay them, and they're going to give us the best work they can.
Next! What is more chance of happening than JP does the business against D-Dub, December the 27th in Saudi Arabia, or the West Tigers bounce back from this embarrassment and this administrative incompetence and make the top 8 next year?
Are you saying Parker wins or gets a knockout?
Well, he wins. However
I thought you said knockout.
However he wins.
Okay.
JP wins or West Tigers make the 8 next year.
No.
So there's more chance JP wins. That's
JP
2 out of 2 for
absolutely.
JP.
I'm sorry, absolutely. The West Tigers, look, this is kind of like when the Broncos, I think, finally got rid of their CEO, brought in a new guy, brought in Ben Eichen as the head of football. They were at their lowest ebb and then clawed their way back up. And Brisbane's first year with Kevin Walters as coach wasn't a good year. We started out terribly and then had a few wins at the end of the season, didn't finish last, but we were on our track to get another wooden spoon. On track to get another wooden spoon, excuse me. So, look, the West Tigers have many, many problems. Sure, they've gotten rid of their board and their CEO has resigned, and that helps things because they've just been making poor decision after poor decision for so long. But I hate to be. I don't want to sound disrespectful. I don't know. I don't know if Benji Marshall's cut out to be a first-grade coach. I'm not saying he isn't, but we haven't seen anything to suggest that he is.
Agreed.
So, I mean, for all we know, sure, they could sign some good players between. I mean, I don't know if they can sign any more, but good players between now and the start of the season. They could go on a run or what. I don't think for a second anything suggests that Benji Marshall's going to be a super coach and get them into the top 8. Next. Not saying he's a bad coach, but there's nothing to suggest that he's a really good coach yet.
Couple more before AAU joins us. Andy Raymond Unfiltered will talk to him about all of this. Joseph Parker wins his fight against Deontay Wilder in Saudi Arabia, or Sail GP does eventually stage a race back in Auckland, and the Auckland City Council do get it organised, Lachlan.
Yeah, I think...
really? I'm saying this is 3 out of 3 for JP.
I think there's a good chance that could happen. I'd like to think...
that
it would. I'd like to think that the Auckland Council and the rule makers who decide on this stuff can actually get together and say this would be great for our city, whether it's Feb or March when the weather in Auckland's usually better around those months.
That's when they're staging it in Littleton.
Yeah, so February would be perfect. A summery weekend early in the year.
All of the parties involved are going to sit round a table and agree.
Now, I tell you what could happen. Could someone like Grant Dalton, or could he get one of his friends from the Middle East and say, just give these guys a bit of money to actually get the job done? What if there's some money put on the table?
Okay, well, that does change things. Okay?
Yeah. Everyone does something for a few more zeros, don't they?
Well, I'm just talking about the people involved and whether they can actually pull their heads out of their own backsides and actually think of someone other than themselves and their petty, squabbly differences.
I'll ask this. So, now, correct, it's a genuine question. Littleton, is it run, for lack of a better word, by the Christchurch Council?
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
The Christchurch Council, I don't know what the official term of the Christchurch Council is, they decided, was it in 2011 or 12, that we either need a new car park for a hospital or we need a stadium. And it's been 11 years Well, they decided we need a new hospital car park. They said that matters more. Like, yep, fair enough, let's do that. They never built it and still squabbled about it for many, many years, and only now they decided to build a stadium. Yeah. So that was about a 10-year period at least where nothing got done. And yet, there is a SailGP event there, isn't there? So why can't Auckland do the same?
What a one then. What is more chance of happening? It was yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, in 2011 that we won our last cricket test against Australia in Hobart. We're going to play you some highlights of that later on in the show. What is more chance of happening than JP wins against D-Dub, Deontay Wilder? He beats him in Saudi Arabia. Or the Black Caps take a test off Australia here in February and March.
Oh, gosh, no more chance that Joseph Parker beats Deontay Wilder.
Ladies and gentlemen, for JP. It's only sport. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. We are back with our man JP, Joseph Parker, fighting Deontay Wilder. It's not the main card, but it's the second big fight, December the 23rd, Saudi Arabia. How much does the money come into it for you, and knowing that you're setting up your future for all your children and your family and everything? I mean, how much of a motivator is that aspect?
To be honest, the money sort of things, it does come and it's great, but that wasn't really the motivation before. The motivation before was, I know I belong at the top, and I need a big fight to show that. And this is the fight. And obviously the money does come with it, but just the whole package together, this big fight, the money, having it at the end of the year, and then coming home with a great win and spend Christmas with my family, that is going to be the best.
When does it end, Joseph? Can you see the finish line in sight at some stage?
Yeah, listen, I'm 31 now, and I said I'm not going to go anywhere past 35. So I have said 30, early 30s before, but I think COVID did push that out a bit. So nothing past 35.
And is that something, again, that, this is your fourth fight this year. So does that take its toll as well? That's a lot of fights.
It is a lot of fights, but I tell you, when you're keeping in shape and when you're trained like this, listen, I've learned a lot in this last year working with this guy named George Lockhart about nutrition, about different phases of training, which these things I never even knew before in the past 10 or 11 years I've been fighting. So I feel like now as a fighter, I'm way fresher. I feel like everything is way better.
Like it's almost like you're reborn. You sort of rebirthed yourself. You're all kind of new again. Is that what it feels like?
That's what it feels like. It feels like I've only just started my career, but I'm starting at a great place and a good level, and it's time for me now to show this new work that I've been doing with the team that I have.
What happens if it doesn't go well though in Saudi and you lose this fight? What then?
I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. I've only thought about winning and smashing his face and then celebrating at home.
Wow. I mean, you got to work. This is what I always struggle to get my head around with Joseph. I mean, I love you to bits, mate. You go into a ring and your whole purpose is you got to smash this guy and knock him out, and he's trying to do that to you. I mean, we all sit there and we love watching this, but man, the difference between watching it and being a spectator and getting in that ring, it's just, look, it's like the Grand Canyon. You could never jump that jump.
Listen, it is. To be honest, if you didn't love boxing and if you didn't love getting in the ring and fighting someone else who's also trying to knock you out, you wouldn't even be involved in this sport. But I love this stuff, and I think I was born for this, and I really am enjoying the whole process. I'm really enjoying the journey, and I am so excited for this. I can't wait.
You know, everything about you, you're such a super dude. You're so friendly. You're so relaxed. You're so chilled to be around, all of that kind of thing. And then you enter the political maelstrom where you go to Saudi Arabia and there's the sport washing and all of that talking about should you be there and should you be fighting there. Do you prepare for answers to questions like this?
I haven't prepared for any of them answers. The only thing is the event's in Saudi, and I booked a fight, and I'm going to be there just to go get my job done and then fly home and see my family. I haven't really prepared for any of those questions to be answered, to be honest.
Well, they will come. Do you have to think about it, or is that something for David to think about?
Listen, that's something for David. Whoever wants to answer those questions, that they have the option to answer. But for me, I got a job to do, and that's what I'm really focused on.
And do you know anything about where Wilder is, who he's training with? Do you have spies in that camp, or any word on how he's going?
No, listen, he trains this. He's been a champion for a long time, so he knows how to prepare for a fight. He's got Malik Scott, who used to be a sparring partner, a training partner of mine. Malik Scott his head coach now. I saw that Junior Farr was in camp with them, helping him with sparring. So I don't know too much about what they're doing, and I don't really want to know too much. All I know that he's going to turn up in great shape and put on his best performance, and I'm just worried about what I'm doing.
I think when he fought, I've got a couple more questions. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time, mate. You're always so generous with your time with us. He walked into the ring against Tyson Fury wearing some kind of crazy outfit that he reckoned weighed him down in the end. Can you remember that?
Yes, it was the first fight. Yes.
Crazy. So
it was the first fight with Wilder and Fury, and he said he was that his uniform was a bit too heavy.
That's it. And
maybe he'll come into another fight with a lighter uniform, and it really tired his legs out. I did read that somewhere. Yeah.
Are you expecting the same kind of sort of antics for this fight?
No, I think he's going to come in with a little lighter uniform. And I expect the best Deontay there is, and he's 38 now, so he's coming towards the end of his career, but he's still got a lot of pop and a lot of bang, and he showed that in his last fight, which was nearly a year ago.
When do you go into lockdown? When do you go into complete lockdown, mate?
I'm already in lockdown now. All I do is gym, home, shop, home, gym, home, and that's all I do. Every day, all day.
Well, it's only about 2 or 3 weeks away now. You sound like you're in a fantastic place, mate, and you sound like it is all going well. We just wish you all the best, Joseph. Go on and knock the bastard out, mate.
Yeah. Thank you, Martin. Let's do that.
West Tigers sacked the board. CEO resigned. Cleaned the clock. That club has just been in freefall. 11 seasons without making the 8. Wooden spooners the last couple of years. Fans eventually had enough and just petitioned the club to do a full review. Well, at the end of that review, they said, get rid of all of the people who have been in administrative positions making decisions. Our man, Andy Raymond, that's ARU, Andy Raymond Unfiltered, all over that. Plus, Usman Khawaja wanting to wear shoes in the first test against Pakistan tomorrow in Perth that display pro-Palestinian slogans. Well, the ICC are very clear about the rules and regulations around this, and they say it's a no-no. Sport and politics don't mix. Well, that's a bit naive. Of course they do. But can't we just watch our cricket, enjoy our sport without being bombarded by players' personal political beliefs? Andy Raymond. West Tigers have sacked their board, sacked their CEO. What does this actually mean for the team and going forward? What does it mean for Benji Marshall?
I don't know. Does it mean more uncertainty? Because they don't know who is in charge. They've got a couple of guys in Barry O'Farrell and Shane Richardson on an interim basis. I don't know whether off-field happenings have an effect on-field players. I think it is largely an excuse when teams and when individuals are going badly. We all point to and say, well, how can they win and how can they concentrate if the football manager's just been sacked or the board is split on a vote or the CEO's just been, reported to human resources. I think it's a cop-out more times than not. Look, sure, you'd love stability in any business, but I think it's used as a cop-out for when teams just suck. I think they're looking for someone to blame.
I started the show espousing about this and said that they have had 8 coaching changes in the last 10 years. They've been back-to-back wooden spooners. So I suppose something's got to give. And in most sports teams and institutions, you get rid of the coach. Well, you can't get rid of the coach because they've tried that, and that has failed. We have a similar situation going on here, and I'll draw the parallel with New Zealand rugby, and that they had a review before the World Cup where they were criticised as being not fit for purpose, and the whole government structure come under question and things. Yet the same people are still there, and the same people are now going to make decisions about whether or not to implement the recommendations of the review. So what you're asking is you're asking the turkey to behead itself for Christmas, aren't you? So I kind of think if you're a West Tigers fan, and this is the only perspective I'm bringing on this, Andy, because I don't care about the board or whoever was on it. I'm only thinking if you're a Tigers fan, where does it leave you right now?
Okay, if you're a Tigers fan, what it does do, it gives you some hope, because the majority of Tigers fans on this side of the ditch fed up with the mediocrity, fed up with the garbage, fed up with the coaches in, out, sacked, let go, let's let this player go. They're fed up with what was an incompetent system in running a business, let alone a footy club. That's what they're fed up with. So what this does for the fans, which is terrific, it gives them hope. Doesn't make it a better football team, doesn't increase their chances next year, does none of that. But what it does, it puts a smile temporarily on the face of the fans. And their long-suffering fans, the Tigers fans, back-to-back wooden spoons, they've had every reason to whinge, bitch and moan. Well, one of those reasons has now been taken away. Reality is, when it comes to round number 1 next year, it's still the same footy side.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not going to change. The positive, mate, it has to get better because it can't get worse. It simply cannot get worse, any worse.
Yeah.
Whether better is finishing 16th in a 17-team competition or finishing 10th or making the semi-finals, it has to get better. It simply can't get worse. So there's your positive, Tigers fans. And that sounds cruel, and I don't mean to be cruel because you guys have struggled enough, poor Tigers fans. But it's got to get better. That's logic.
Usman Khawaja, because you groaned like I groaned when I saw the story. And what it is, people, is that Khawaja is adamant that when the test starts in Perth tomorrow against Pakistan, that he's going to wear on his shoes some kind of slogans which are pro-Palestinian. Now, let me just read you what the ICC regulations are here. Players and team officials, and this is quoting off the ICC website, shall not be permitted to wear, display or otherwise convey personal messages on their clothing, equipment or otherwise, irrespective of whether such messages are affixed to clothing, equipment or otherwise, and whether such messages are displayed or conveyed through the use of specific clothing or other items. Approval should not be granted ever for messages which relate to political, religious or racial activities or causes, and the ICC have the final say in determining whether any such message is approved. That says to me that he's not allowed to do it and he won't be allowed to do it. And I think that's a good thing, that he's not allowed to do this.
I think it's a great thing that he's not allowed to do this. That the rules are there. They are very clear. And cricket traditionally, globally, has stuck to the rules almost to the point where many could suggest cricket hasn't moved with the times. But they're very steadfast in what they believe. And on this occasion, I believe they're right. Nothing infuriates and disgusts me more than athletes playing the political game. And for an Aussie cricketer to voice his opinion on something like this, I just think it's not on. I don't think it's necessary either. I applaud Usman for having a very firm stance.
Which he's allowed to do, which every human is allowed to do. But, you have plenty of other ways. Look, we had the same arguments and disputes about Ruby Tui over here, who decided not to participate in a Weet-Bix Kids card program because she wanted to wear a rainbow colours, and the rugby union came up with some kind of fudge excuse about it, didn't have time or whatever. But the reality of it is listen, you don't run the joint, you don't own the joint, you're an employee, and our policy is we do not use these teams, our national teams, to make political statements. You can make them on your social media, you can protest however you want, but these teams cannot ever drive down that road because it is just a road full of pit holes and potholes, and it is a controversy that doesn't need to happen, in my opinion.
It just doesn't need to happen. You're exactly right. It can be avoided, so it should be avoided. It's one less drama. I think you put it rightfully and perfectly then. Uzi, if you want to go and do it on your social media, or if you want to pay for advertising, whatever, go for your life. But when you walk onto the cricket field, you are actually an employee. Here are the rules, and this is how we do it.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute on each. When the bell, we'll move on to the next one. Joseph Parker, do you give him a puncher's chance in this fight? To him. West Tigers have sacked the entire board. The CEO has resigned. Compare that to New Zealand rugby being called not fit for purpose by review, independent review, and yet nothing has changed at all yet, months after that review was tabled. Man United out of the Champions League, no surprise at all. The manager's future now seriously in question. I don't actually mind that we're knocked out of the Champions League. I've been a fan for years. I'm actually quite happy that we've lost. How weird is that? Yesterday in 2011 was the last time that we beat Australia in a cricket test. Now, we play them. That was in Hobart. We play them February, March next year. What chance have we got? ICC have condemned the Bangladesh pitch, and they're going to get a demerit point. That's just such a punishment, isn't it? Khawaja. Let us start with Khawaja. I had a couple of texts on this too, and I'll read one of those out before we even start. Afternoon, Martin. This whole thing shakes my head. I'm sick and tired of these sports stars bringing their political views into the games. I just want to watch sport, not hear you spout about war or climate change, whatever it is. Play the game that I pay to watch. If I wanted to know about your political views or anyone else's, I'd pay some media subscription instead. I totally agree. I absolutely agree with this. You know, the thing and the reason that lots of us love sport is an escapism. It takes us away from the everyday crap that is going on. It just gives us a breather, doesn't it, from it? And, you know, I don't really have a position on the whole Palestinian-Israeli thing. I mean, for years I was so pro-Palestinian. I protested, like, in the streets when I was a student, all of that kind of thing. I was sickened by the way that this particular new episode, I suppose I'd like to call it, of the conflict began, which is guys parachuting into a music festival and machine gunning teenagers down. Now, I don't know whatever political cause you espouse, but how is that good?
Yeah.
How is that good for anybody or anything? And then what happens is, of course, the reaction from Israel is an overreaction, and then before you know it, there's just so much slaughter going on, and I'm not sure how much of it is actually each side doing it to each other and how much is each side doing it to its own and then sending videos to the media saying, oh, this is what they did to us and so forth. You know that there's so much propaganda going. The whole thing makes me physically ill. I hate it and I wish it would stop. But when it comes to cricket, I don't want to know about it. I just don't want to know. When it comes to sport, I don't want to know about it.
Sport it's entertainment. Like,
That's all
sport
it is.
is on the weekends because it's important in your lives when you're not working and
Do you
doing
want to
your
go
daily
to a Taylor
job.
Swift concert and the concert gets stopped while a whole lot of videos play of that going on?
No.
You don't. No, you don't, do you?
Well, there's a great joke by Bill Burr. He's on the Conan O'Brien show, and he says that he gets really annoyed by political movements being intertwined with sports. And he says, it's not, I'm at a baseball game, everyone's got to hold up like a photo of someone they love that died of this or that or whatever. Cancer. And he says, it's like me going to the movies with a friend and then pausing and saying, oh, by the way, I was molested when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, just stop
it's like,
it.
Stop it.
Stop
I'm
it.
the same as you. I don't. Look, it's a conflict that's gone on for centuries. You know, it's been going on. If there's things in old, biblical time texts that talk about conflicts between the Palestinians, who used to be known as the Philistines, and the Israelites and whatnot. So look, it's something that's happened for a long time. So, but it's something that doesn't need to. Like Telf says it a lot, that you can't ever not have politics in sport. Yes, you can, because sport isn't born off politics. Sport is born off human beings doing extraordinary things with their bodies and providing entertainment for people. What part of that needs to be politicised?
There you go. Bang. I've got nothing to add to that. Has JP got a puncher's chance against Devontae Wilder?
Certainly he does.
Yes, he does.
I think this is just I'm not the most the best expert on boxing, but at least from fights that I've watched that have involved the likes of Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua and whatnot, Parker's a pretty skilled fighter. Doesn't have a knockout punch. He can't.
That's his problem.
When he's got guys on the ropes, he can't finish them off. Deontay Wilder's a bit the opposite. He's actually not as skilled. He can be a little bit clunky, but his punch is immensely powerful.
Plus, he's got a reach advantage.
Yeah, he's 6'7".
He's got a height advantage.
His reach is so much.
And
longer as well.
look, what I fear about the speed and the movement, because he's got to get out of the way and stay out of the way. And then he's got to get within reach to hit him. And it just reminds me of that David Tua Lennox Lewis fight. And I mean, Tua was obviously a lot shorter and had a serious disadvantage, height and reach and everything, but he just couldn't get near him, because if he got near him, he was going to get whacked. I'm not sure that he's going to knock Joseph out, but I'm not sure that Joseph can knock him out.
I don't think he can. I think there's a good chance he does knock Joseph out. I mean, heck, he put Tyson Fury on the floor about 3 or 4 times across 3 fights. One of those fights he got absolutely just destroyed Wilder, but the other 2 he put Fury on the floor.
Speaking of getting knocked out, Man United Champions League today. No great surprise. I mean, even if we had beaten, it's my team, even if we had beaten Bayern Munich, well, we still needed a result in the other game, Copenhagen and Galatasaray. I had to draw. Copenhagen won that game. Fair enough, they go through anyway. So even if we'd won today, I'm quite pleased that we lost. As weird as that is, I've never wanted Man United to lose. I'm pleased that we lost because we now don't go to the Europa League, because if we finish third in the group. But it's just, we are the West Tigers at the moment, mate. That's who we are. We are a shambles. We are the Patriots who Bill Belichick has apparently got to the end of the season and they're going to offload him. I hope that Ten Hag, the manager, stays, because I think that half the players deserve to go, and I think the owners need to F off. And nothing's going to change till they do. So you can continually point the finger at the coach, like, New Zealand rugby did Ian Foster. But ultimately, looking at the All Blacks, those players have failed for the last 4.5 years, Lachlan.
Yeah.
Ever since, or before they lost to England in the semi-final in Tokyo. They've failed. All of the records, losing to Ireland at home, losing to Argentina at home, record defeat to the South Africa. It just goes on and on and on. So what do you do if you're Man United? Do you sack Ten Hag and keep faith in these pathetic, petulant bunch of players or not?
No, not at all. Well, it's a situation. It's like the West Tigers. It's like your Redskins. Sorry to bring them up. It's like the Clippers in the NBA when they were owned by Donald Sterling. It is shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. It is not actually making massive change. It's just moving things around. Your guys' problem has been the fact that these players have gotten away with this play and their behaviour for many, many years.
And it's the same guys.
Yeah.
There's still the same 5 or 6 losers who were losers 6 years ago.
Even the guys who supposedly should stick around, the guys like Bruno Fernandes and Harry Maguire or Luke Shaw, like these guys, they've been in the team for so... Luke Shaw was signed in 2014, and yet he has continued to play for this team, and even when the form has been bad, he hasn't been punished.
No. Yeah, they'll sack the coach.
They'll sack the coach, they will.
A couple more to go then. Congratulations to Christchurch for getting the Sale GP back. It really is shameful that Auckland couldn't get its act together here. You've been given a gift horse. You've been given... The golden goose is laying eggs. And what have you done? Go, no, you have the goose back. No, you guys have it back.
Yeah,
we don't need any more eggs.
Tell you where it would have been great. Here. If Auckland couldn't have it, it would have been Wellington.
I think so.
Wellington
would never have put its hand up for it,
But the way
mate.
that the harbour
it's
just
sport.
encompasses
You would
the
think,
water, it'd be perfect.
Racing around Soames Island, Matu Island, do you think?
Yeah.
But why not? Because there's no way Wellington would host a sports event. No, it's fun.
Yeah,
people would enjoy themselves. They would.
It attracts men.
Oh,
how dare we have that?
How dare you have that? Finally, yesterday in 2011 was the last time that we beat Australia in a cricket test. It was in Hobart. We're going to play some highlights of this for you in about half an hour. Let me go through the stats here, Locke. New Zealand batting first against Australia in a test. We hit 150 in the first innings. Oh, God.
Here we go.
Okay, we're going to get dick.
I've watched this movie before.
We're going to get dicked.
I've seen this episode.
That innings, right?
Yeah.
Top score with 56. Now, remember, Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor were playing. Who top scored with 56 in our first innings?
Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess it was either... Was BJ Watling playing?
No.
Oh, damn, okay. Martin Devlin.
Dean Brownlee.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Second top scorer. Okay, and this was our batting lineup, people. Second top scorer: McCullum, Guptill, Ryder, Ross Taylor, Kane, Williamson, Dean Brownlee, Reece Young, Bracewell, and then it goes into the bowlers. Second top scorer was who?
First or second innings?
First innings. So after 56 from Brownlee, second top scorer was?
Ross Taylor.
Extras with 20. Okay. Then they came in, and they were bowled out for 136. So we had a first innings lead of 14 runs.
Yeah.
Wickets were shared around. 3 wickets for Chris Martin, for Trent Boult.
Oh, Chris Martin, he had that brilliant run-up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And Doug Bracewell got 3. Then we batted again, 226. Top score, 56, Ross Taylor. Kane Williamson, 34. Our third top scorer in that innings, and I've given you a clue before, was...
Not Dean Brownlee.
Extras.
Oh.
22. So 42 of our runs came from extras. Then they batted again. All out for 233. Bracewell was magnificent, his 6 for 40. Warner was left stranded, 123 not out. We had them 7 for 194, 8 for 199, 9 for 199. Then they got another 34 runs.
Yeah, they only needed about,
7 runs needed. I remember watching this, and I was absolutely horizontal behind the couch with my hands over my ears, chanting and banging my legs like a baby. Because I was just going, please, no.
Especially once they hit about 230.
That was it.
Brilliant, they've won this, haven't they?
Well, he was one boundary away from being a boundary away.
Yeah.
Okay? And he's 123 not out, Davey Dum Dum.
The best thing about
And do you know who they gave the man of the match to?
David Warner.
They gave it to David Warner, mate.
They should have given it to Bracewell.
Bracewell got 9
3
wickets.
straight. He got 2 in a row. He got 3 in a row against Ponting, Michael Clark, and Michael Hussey. And 2 of those back-to-back, Ponting and Clark.
No, I think we've
How
only.
superb is that?
I think we've only beaten them 6 or 7. No, it might be 8 times. I think in cricket tests in our whole history.
That was the last time, wasn't it?
That was the last time.
And before that, it was 20 years beforehand,
it was
wasn't
18 years before
Yeah.
that. It was 1993. The BTE, the Brendan Telfer Experience, ladies and gentlemen, every single Wednesday. And for the last time in 2023, the old boy's got a fair few opinions he wants to express. What a petulant text you sent me. I'm not interested in Jon Rahm. I don't want to know about Jon Rahm. I don't care about Jon Rahm. You'll be following Jon Rahm every shot that he plays on the LIV Golf Tour.
I will not. I've never had the slightest interest in anything that's happened in LIV Golf. It's meaningless golf. I mean, Jon Rahm has taken $990 million in New Zealand money. Fine, he's entitled to do that. But he's gone into a golfing cul-de-sac. It's dead-end golf that he's playing for now. It doesn't matter whether he wins these tournaments or loses. Nothing hinges on them. He doesn't get any world ranking points. He doesn't get you into a major championship. So it's just utterly meaningless golf. No one's really interested in it. The crowds are small. There isn't a decent television channel anywhere in the world that wants to televise it. But so it's exhibition golf is the best
that's
I
it.
could say for it.
Yeah, it is. Look, I'll tell you what, here is why. I'm going to play you this. It's 20 seconds. Listen to this and tell me this wasn't scripted. And he's got the temerity, Brendan, to resurrect Sevi Ballesteros and the honour of that guy. Does he have no shame?
It's an insult, of course. It's an insult. I thought you were going to run a piece of audio from him about a year ago, where he said, "I have no interest in golf. I'm about my legacy, building my own legacy in golf, winning major championships." And no, I'm not interested. But I guess every guy has his price.
Yeah.
They offered him some money last year that he turned it down, so they just went back and offered him more money. He's also hoping, I guess, that there will be a resolution to this conflict between the golf and the PGA Tour. And there are signs that sometime between now and the end of the year, which is 18 days away, that we will be getting at last some details about the so-called unified entity, which will be running and essentially looking after the major golfing tours sometime in the near future. So guys like Rahm, he may have been given heads up that there is a resolution in the wind. Take the money now, because once the two factions come together, they won't be dishing out money quite so much. But one of the things that has been leaked out is this is another extraordinary example of the money that this PIF, this professional investment fund, which is just a cliche for the Saudi Arabian government with endless petrodollars in their coffers. One of the things that they have offered to the PGA Tour of America, and Ryan Fox could be a recipient of this, is there's hundreds of golfers, of the 200 or 300 that play on the US Tour. Most of them were dead against this idea of unifying with LIV Golf. To satisfy these angry golfers, the Saudis are now prepared to give $1 billion, not $1 million, but $1 billion to the PGA Tour to distribute amongst the golfers that didn't go to LIV Golf.
God.
They're going to give them $1 billion for not going.
That's just sick, mate.
And so Ryan Fox could be in line for some of this money if it's true. But
let's just say that. Let's just say that as a question, right? Like Ryan is about to play the PGA Tour. This is his dream for the first time, and we've spoken to him a lot of times, as has everyone, as have you, Brendan, about joining LIV Golf. Let's say Ryan did get offered $250 million or $300 million. See, what I don't understand is why they need Rahm now, because I was like you, I thought a deal was about to be done. But let's say Ryan decided in the end they offered him $300 or $400 million or something like that. It'd be very difficult to look him in the eye and say, Ryan, I disapprove of this, because it doesn't really matter what we think anyway. But at the same time, good God, Brendan, I mean, it's an amount of money, mate, that changes everyone's minds.
Yeah, I mean, if say in that scenario, Foxy went, I wouldn't have, my feelings for him wouldn't be any different. I would respect him enormously, and I respect him then. I mean, Rahm, I suppose, I'd have a bit more faith in Rahm and give him a bit more credit if he just come out and said, look, all I've done is what millions of people do every year. I'm just changing my employer. I'm still practicing my profession, which is hitting golf balls, but I've changed employer. Because they've offered me a better deal, which is what people are doing all the time. So are you on the station because of the huge money they're offering.
That's it, Brendan. You know that. Brendan. You know that. That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, Download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable! Incredible!
The Platform.